I recently picked up a Victor VV XVI, the L-door shaped machine. And the person who had it before me said that the spring inside had broken when he was winding it. When I took the spring barrels out of the motor, noticed that it definitely did not seem as though the motor, any of the springs had broken. But I needed to be able to get inside of this to figure it out. This is not like pulling apart a later model Victrola. There's no set screws to release a shaft. You actually have to pull this gear off of the shaft. And the way to do that normally is with a gear puller. I didn't have a gear puller, and I am too impatient to wait for mine. So I'm using a pair of paint can openers. And I'm being very careful because I do not want to score. I do not want to dent any part of this. So I'm just going to slip these underneath the biggest drive gear, not the smallest. And with very gentle pressure, you see that I can raise up the gears on that center shaft. And then, rather than forcing anything, you can take paint stirrer sticks. And once you get it up that high, you can actually put these sticks in between the barrels. That way, if anything happens, it's going to happen to the stick, not to the spring barrel itself. And go up a little bit more. And then all you do is add in more paint sticks to allow that gear to stay pretty tight against the top, so you have something to push against. I'll do it from this side so I don't block the camera. Again, nice gentle pressure. There's no need to wreck a tooth on this gear. You can see we're almost to the top now. And if it's still pretty tight, you could do as I did and stick a paint stick in between two of them. It's much easier than trying to add one to the top or one to the bottom. I find that this is a 3 paint stick per side thing. I suppose you could use anything, wood shims. This should be the last of it. I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to be careful it doesn't pop off. And there we go. And the reason that I was able to remove it that way using the paint sticks is because, as you can see, there's something very important missing from this setup, and that would be the pin that goes through the shaft. This is actually what made it possible for me to use the paint stick method without having to do any extra work. Normally what you'd have to do is raise that gear up a little bit and then reach underneath and punch that pin out in order to be able to raise this up. Of course, if you have a gear puller, all that is moot. You can just use this piece right here to get the rest of the gear off. But if you're like me and you don't have one and you're in a bit of a rush. Anyway, what I found when I pulled this off was actually a piece of that shaft inside of this little recessed space. This is supposed to go down over the top and it's supposed to fit over the pin that comes out. So what do you do when your pin is broken off? You replace it with a nail. So I'm just going to punch this piece out. It might even do it by hand. Yep. All right, so here's the broken piece. That's the piece that was inside, about the same size as the piece that I found inside the gear. When I took the gear apart, it looked like that. I'm going to put this into place, and I'm going to trim it to size. I'm going to reassemble this whole mess and see if that solves my problem. Otherwise, I got to take these barrels apart. See how that does.